To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. Okay, so I'm back at the tiny house build again today. As you know, yesterday we finally got the shower installed or assembled. It has a drain in it now. We got a little closet back here. Now the steps that are needed is I got to attach a pipe to the drain out to the septic tank. Once I get that done, we'll bring up the water tank, I think on Monday is the plan. We want to empty it a little bit, at about half full now. And we just hate to waste that water. Carolyn's a big advocate, don't waste the water. We got to have every drop, even though we have a well. She doesn't like to waste the water. Now we are going to bring up our tankless water heater. It's a Mary water heater or Mare water heater. Google it. It's a on-demand tankless water heater. It's really nice. We got ours, I think, in 2017, October of 2017, I think is when it was. And we've used it throughout the entire nomadic lifestyle and the entire time we've been on this property. So we're gonna bring that up here. Now the question is how we are going to hang the water heater. We could put it in the shower, which is obviously a solution, but having it in the shower itself takes up a lot of room. And when you don't have a lot of room can't be taken. So we came up here yesterday and Carolyn came up with a genius idea. The hose and the wiring and everything that's going to feed the shower is going to come through this little vent right here. So then we're going to run the hose up and over to the tankless water heater. The idea that she came up with is instead of hanging it inside the shower, hang it up here. What we're gonna do is the tin roofing material that we have, we'll put some right here. You'll see here that she's got a piece of trim. We're not gonna remove that trim. We'll put another piece of trim here. We'll put the metal on, and then we'll put the tankless water heater right on the metal. Because the tankless water heater can get a little hot. Now, up on the ceiling, it's not gonna make any difference because we got the metal ceiling. So all we have to do is put the metal here. That'll protect us both ways. It doesn't get really hot. I mean, it's in the camper now and it sits on 2x2 and it's pretty close to the ceiling. So, I mean, it's not like, oh my gosh, we're gonna burn the place down hot, but there is a risk that it could get a little warm. And so why take the risk when we got all this metal material that we can put here? Now, the problem is that sometimes the tankless water heater will leak. And I wanted to make sure that all the leaks were inside the shower. So I gotta make sure that the tail end, the bottom portion of the water heater is below the shower level. So just underneath this lip, all the plumbing connections, want to make sure that that's here. That way if it leaks in the shower and not on the wall. Now, of course, we'll have that metal material that will help pull it out. Now, I really encourage you to look at the Mare or Mary tankless water heater if you're going to look at water heaters. Got a lot of people told me, oh, you don't want a tankless water heater. I guess they don't realize I already have one. Not all tankless water heaters are created equal. The two that I've seen, mine and my mother's, were completely different. My mom's didn't seem to heat up very hot. It was difficult for it to heat. Mine heats on a dime. I mean, you just barely turn it up and it gets pretty hot pretty quick. Now, it's also dependent on flow, and there's a lot of things. It takes a while to learn how to use it, but once you learn how to use it, it's no big deal at all because you have to regulate the flow and the temperature. The best thing I do is just turn the flow all the way down and then turn the temperature all the way down and then to raise the temperature until it's comfortable. That way I'm not messing with the flow and the temperature, just the temperature. But the Mare is really good. Our water is outside and it has gotten frozen on the top, a skim of ice. So you know the water is getting close to down to 32 degrees. The Mare doesn't have any issues. You got to turn the heat up a little bit more, but it does just fine. I really would recommend if you're going to get tankless, look at the Mare. I mean, I'm not a sponsor of that company or anything. It's the first one we've owned. I got it as a gift, and it's worked great all the times that we had it. Now, I've had other people say, you don't want a tankless water heater because it fills up with calcium and they'll go bad. Well, we've been here a year and it's still working, and we got lots of calcium in that well. Now, here's the thing I would say about tankless water heaters. They're like $100, $115, something like that. Again, the last time I looked, it was like 3 years ago. I would rather replace a tankless water heater for $100 than a regular water heater for $500, $600, $700. I don't know how much they cost. They're expensive. You can hook up a water heater in your house, a tankless water heater, if you're clever. So it heats your water for you on demand in the house. You could do that. Of course, you have to know how to do the plumbing and all that, but it's doable. Dad does it down in his RV. All his water comes through the tankless water heater through his RV. When he gets into his new house, he's going to do the same thing. So now I'm going to go underneath the house and start hooking up the plumbing. Okay, so now I'm under the house. You can see the pipe right here. That's the pipe that's going into the shower. Now, I ran it down that far down because you'll see this is part of the trailer frame. So I wanted to make sure that I cleared the trailer frame. Now, my thought was I was going to have to cut this a little bit, but I've already kind of measured it out, just visually measured it out. And I like the angle that it's at right now. It gives me a nice downhill angle all the way to the end of the porch, which is behind you, what you're seeing here, that direction. So now all I got to do is just glue my elbow to the pipe like that. Put the other end to the pipe I just showed you. What I'm going to do is you got to use primer and glue. So you start out with the purple primer, you put it in there, and that just kind of cleans it out. And you prime both pieces. You prime that and the elbow. And then you rub the glue around it. Again, around the elbow and the pipe. It is below 40 degrees. The instructions on this says you got to use it above 40 degrees. Otherwise, you have to check with your local code enforcement. Now, I worked with a plumber in Oklahoma a long time ago, way back in, I guess, the late 90s. He used this stuff all the time below 40 degrees. Yeah, and I didn't question anybody. He said, who cares? And he was a master plumber. So check with your local code, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm just using this for drain. I'm not using it for water, high pressure water. It's just a drain, so it won't ever have any pressure on it. And if it does leak, it's just going to leak underneath the trailer here, which is, all opened up. It's not that catastrophic and is easily fixed. Now, one other thing, before you get underneath your house, make sure you got a pipe wrench and that you can get these opened. I can't ever get them open unless I got a pipe wrench. Don't get underneath your house and realize you can't open it and have to crawl all the way back out. Another thing I learned a long time ago is always put the cap back on right after you use it and then set it aside. That way, if you knock it over, you don't spill everything. Again, having to crawl back out to go buy more. Okay, so you're always going to want to make sure your pipe is running downhill because water only runs downhill, it won't run uphill. So just take a level and you can see that the bubble is way buried that way. If I lift it up, see, the bubble comes the other way. That tells me that the water is draining downhill and the air is going up. That's what the bubble means, air going up, water down. In case I didn't mention it before, that's the primer, that cleans the pipe up. Then you got your glue that goes on over the primer. And again, you do it to both sides. Okay, so here's our plumbing that we have for our shower drain. Now, I recognize it's not very pretty, but here what we have is the existing drain. That's what was already here. So you can see it's pretty close to the surface of the ground anyway. What we had to do was try to figure out a way to run it into that pipe without having to make a lot of modifications and spend a lot of money. Now, coming out here with an excavator would have cost thousands of dollars, because what would have happened was they have to dig all the way down to the septic tank. Of course, it's not quite as pretty doing it this way. But Carolyn, being the genius that she is, has figured out a way to save money and make it really nice looking. So what she's going to do is she's going to buy some blocks like this, similar to this, not like these, but similar to these. And she's going to line it up and down the length of the pipe here. And then what she can do is she's going to fill the holes with dirt and put plants in them and make it look really nice. Which goes with our philosophy that you should be able to buy a new home. Ta-da! There's our new home. Relatively inexpensively, have a nice place to live without having to go and do all these crazy things that's going to cost you a fortune. Everything costs a fortune when you build a house. Everything. Plumbing, electrical, everything. And we've done it for a fraction of the cost. Even when lumber prices were through the roof. So I hope I can encourage you to find ways to minimize your cost so you can live your dream. Thanks for watching.